All right, happy Friday. Today we're going to talk about one of my favorite things, a little bit higher level conversation. And guys, if you've got, I better get over there, any comments or anything, I don't care if you're watching on Facebook, YouTube, whatever it is, feel free to put them down in the comments, ask questions, and I'll answer anything I can. If I don't know the answers, I'll get you the answers. But today is a higher level conversation. I think it's going to be really helpful for anybody who's either in real estate investments or they're thinking about getting into real estate investments, right? I'm going to share with you a cool tool that we as investors used in the past, and it's been phenomenal for us. I want to give you the why, and I want to tell you some hurdles you're probably going to have and how to get over them, okay? So here is the big overarching question, the problem that I'm going to try to help you solve today. If I'm buying multiple real estate properties and I want to limit my liability, how do I do it, right? And when I say limit your liability, think, man, you've got one property. Okay, if something happens, if someone breaks their neck or dies or, whatever happens, they hurt themselves, they can come back and they can sue you. Will they win or not? That's up to the court, right? But they could sue you. How do you limit the liability that lawsuit brings on to that property and that property only? They're not coming after your personal stuff. They're not coming after your other properties. They're not coming after your other investments that aren't real estate. How do you limit that? That's the question, right? So I'm going to give you one big solution that we've used, and I'm going to show you the how to do these, right? But you got to get the garbage. Yeah, man. Kids got to do chores. Thank you. So here's what you need to do. I highly suggest getting a trust. Now, there's two different types of trusts, revocable and irrevocable, and there's reasons you'd want to use both. But for the purposes of this, in my past, we've used irrevocable trusts, right? So again, I want you to talk to an attorney, something like that, if this is something you want to do. And I'll tell you what we did. We went in and talked to an attorney and paid an attorney a couple $1,000s, maybe $2,000, $3,000 to get that trust drawn up for our first property. But after we figured out how to do it and we saw the process one time, we took a course, we learned how to do it, and we started creating our own trusts. It's not that tough, and it's honestly not that expensive if you do it yourself, right? Thanks, bud. I appreciate that. So the trust system is pretty simple once you figure it out. Don't be scared of it. Once you figure it out, you put in a little effort. And guys, you're running a doggone business. This is an investment for you, right? And you might think, well, it's not a business. It's just me getting an investment property. If you set it up right, it's a business. So putting it in that trust names it something else, right? So instead of Joe Rosen purchasing the property, and when you go as somebody who's not Joe Rosen and you look in the county records to see who owns the property, it's not going to say Joe Rosen. It's going to say ABC Trust. Now, if you're doing it for the purposes of what I'm talking about, which is protecting yourself, you don't want to name it the Joe Rosen Trust, because then it's pretty easy to figure out who owns it. It's Joe Rosen, right? You want to name it something completely different. You could name it, if you're buying 123 3rd Street, you could name it the 123 3rd Street Trust. All right? You could name it the Alphabet Soup Trust. You can name it anything you want. It doesn't matter. But what you want to name it is something that does not link it to you. Now, on that trust, you've got the trustee, that's going to be you. And then you've also got someone called a custodian. The custodian is the person, kind of like the front man, right? So once you get into the investment world, you can literally go find a custodian, another investor usually, but it's people literally you can hire out to be custodians. You pay them $50 to $100, and they're your custodian. What's the job of a custodian? The job of a custodian is when you go to the county records and you look up, let's just call it ABC Trust, you're not going to see Joe Rosen's name, the trustee, the guy who owns it, the guy who bought and paid for and is reaping the benefits of the investment. You're not going to see Joe Rosen's name. You're going to see the custodian's name, right? Which is some other investor that I've maybe paid $50 to $100 to, and their sole job is if somebody has questions or whatever, and I need to be involved, they come to me as a third party. But what that custodian does is hides my name from the public. So now let's say I own 3 properties, right? And you can see if you own 20, 50, 100, how much more beneficial this becomes. So now I've got 3 properties, right? Property 1, 2, and 3. This one's ABC Trust. Now I'm not going to name this one BCD Trust, because now if you're going to sue me, it's easy to go find everything that's named that and start digging into them. And I'm not going to have the same custodian on everyone. That's another way to get found pretty easily, right? What I'm going to do is I'm going to name this one ABC Trust. I'm going to name this one Alphabet Soup Trust. And I'm going to name that one Purple Giraffe Trust. Those are in no way connected. It's not going to make any attorney think, that's got to be Joe Rosen. That's got to be Joe Rosen. So can you find me? Sure, you can always find me, but it's going to be very difficult. And in all the investments we ever did, nobody ever found us. Now, we also never got sued. But in the world of investments, you'll hear of a lot of people getting sued. People get injured. People have issues. Maybe people can't pay it. They're going to try to sue you. Maybe rightfully, maybe not rightfully. Maybe they win, maybe they don't win. But you want to protect yourself. At least I would want to protect myself. So what happens is on the first one, ABC Trust, somebody breaks their ankle falling down the stairs, right? Now, maybe they win, maybe they don't win. But when they create that lawsuit, a good attorney is going to look at everything that is owned by the owner. If Joe Rosen owns this one and Joe Rosen owns this one and Joe Rosen owns this one, and it's not in a trust, it's in Joe Rosen's name, it's incredibly easy to go in as an attorney and see Joe owns these 3 properties. Let's go after all of them. Now my liability has increased significantly, right? But if I've got them in ABC Trust, Alphabet Soup Trust, and Purple Giraffe Trust, and all 3 have different custodians, the odds of that attorney figuring out which ones are mine is incredibly low. I've never seen it happen, honestly. So now that attorney is going to say, hey, we can only see one property that's owned by ABC Trust, and it's the property you're living at, so the lawsuit has to go against ABC Trust. Now, once it goes to court, the judge can say, hey, we need to know who the owner of this is, Mr. Custodian. And then the attorney will get a piece of paper from the court, and the custodian will have to say, Joe Rosen, we've got this piece of paper here that says you have to go to court and you have to reply. Okay, now you know who Joe Rosen is. Joe Rosen's the owner of this property. But I don't have to disclose that I have other properties because in all honesty, I don't own those properties. The trust owns those properties, and I'm merely the trustee. Okay, so here's the other big hurdle. If you can wrap your head around what I just said, the other big hurdle is you don't want to purchase a property as Joe Rosen, your name, and then transfer it after the sale into the trust name, which in this example is ABC Trust. You don't want to do that because now as an attorney, it's easy to go back into the records and see that Joe Rosen at one point owned it. And then literally a day, a week, a month, whatever later, it went into a trust's name with no sale. Because now as an attorney, what am I thinking? I'm thinking that's got to be Joe Rosen. It's easy to go back and look and see that Joe Rosen had owned these 3 properties at one point, transferred them all into trust names. He's probably still the owner. So now it hasn't really protected me as much as I wanted. So you want to purchase it from day one in the trust name, right? The challenge is there are a lot of lenders out there and title companies who have a tough time with you purchasing a home in a trust name. Some of them just don't know how to do it. They've never done it before. They'll tell you you can't do it. In fact, if you are a lender and you've done it and you're listening to this, you've got experience doing this, please go in the comments and explain that you've done this before. I'd like people to see that because I'm telling you, in our experience, if you call 10 lenders, probably 6, 7, 8 of them are going to tell you, you can't do it. I don't know how to do it. That doesn't sound like a thing that you can do. And that's going to be the end of it, right? So what you really need to do is find a lender who's got the experience with it, knows how to do it, knows how to talk to the underwriters when doing it, and makes it a little bit easier for you. Is that a challenge? Sure, but investing in anything is a challenge. You're making money on this stuff. It is a business. It's a money maker. You're going to have to put a little bit of effort in. You're going to have to make those connections. And you're going to have a title company that understands it as well. All right, so those are some of the hurdles that you're going to have. Guys, I'm just giving you a brief outline, okay? And if anything I said is not accurate, I mean, we've done this a million times. I'm very confident in what I'm saying, but things change too. And I honestly haven't bought an investment property in the last 2 years, so things might have changed a little bit. If there are any changes, I'm saying anything inaccurately, please put it in the comments. Let everybody know this is a whole culture of learning and improving everybody. And if you guys need any connections to great lenders, title companies, whatever, because you're going to do this, just let me know. But guys, I appreciate you. Again, any questions, you can DM me, call me, email me, Facebook me, whatever you want to do, and I'd be more than happy to help you out. I hope you have an absolutely fired up day. And if you want to get into investing, let me know, and I'd be more than happy to sit down, do a little coffee with you, and talk through some of the things that we've done in the past that have been successful for us. Have a fired up Friday and an even better weekend. Take care.